Hi, welcome to House of Coding. I am Neha and in this video we will cover the installation of Python, setting up an IDE and dive into basic syntax, variables and data types. By the end we will use these concepts to create a simple calculator program. To install Python, you have to open Google and search for Python. In the search results, click on the link to the official Python website python.org. Once you are on the Python website, navigate to the menu and click the Downloads button. A drop-down list will appear. Choose the version of Python compatible with your operating system. For example, if you are using Windows, click on the Windows option. The Python installer for Windows will begin downloading. After the download is complete, open the installer and follow the on-screen instructions to complete the installation process. Python is now installed on your system. This is the default Python distribution, which includes the Python interpreter, Python IDLE, and pip, the package installer. You can work with Python in two different modes: interactive mode, also called immediate mode, and script mode. To work in interactive mode, open IDLE. It will open Python shell, where you will see the Python prompt represented by three arrow signs. Interactive mode of working means you type one command at a time in front of Python command prompt, and the Python executes the given command there and then and gives you output. For example, if you type 3 plus 5 in front of Python prompt and press enter, it will give you result as 8. If you write print hello world in front of prompt and press enter, the Python interpreter will immediately display string hello world below command. In interactive mode, you cannot save commands you enter as a program. Additionally, the output appears directly between the command lines, making it less organized. Now what if you want to save all your commands as a program file and see the output lines together instead of mixed with the commands? That's where script mode comes in. To create a script or program file, open IDLE, then go to the file in the menu bar and select new. A new window will open where you can type the commands you want to save. For example, you can write print hello world in the new file and save it as demo with the .py extension. Now your program is saved on the disk. To open the file later, go to the file in the menu bar and select open. If the script is already open, you can simply run it by clicking on the run in the menu bar and selecting run module, or press the F5 key. This will execute all the commands stored in the file and display the output in a separate Python shell window. Now that Python is installed and we have explored the two different modes of working with it, we will primarily focus on using script mode. To create our first simple calculator program, we need to understand some Python fundamentals. So let's dive into the basics. Starting with Python character set. A character set is the collection of valid characters that a programming language can recognize. Python uses the Unicode encoding standard, meaning every element of a Python program, whether it's a statement, expression, or any other component, is built using this character set. On the screen, you can see examples of various characters used in Python. These include letters, digits, symbols, and special characters, all part of the Unicode character set that Python recognizes. Every element in a Python program, whether a variable, operator, or punctuation mark, is made of these characters. Now let's move on to tokens. A token is the smallest individual unit in a program. For instance, in a sample code, elements like name, age, the equal sign, the print keyword, and the punctuations are all tokens. Python has 5 types of tokens: keywords, identifiers, literals, operators, and punctuators. Let's go over each of them. Keywords are the reserved words used for a specific purpose in Python, and they cannot be used as regular identifiers like variable names. Some examples include none, true, false, print, break, for, if, and elif. Now moving on to identifiers. These are fundamental building blocks in a program and serve as names for various elements like variables, objects, functions, lists, etc. There are specific rules that govern how identifiers can be used in Python. The first character must be a letter or an underscore. Python is case sensitive, meaning uppercase and lowercase letters are treated as different. Digits 0 to 9 can be used in an identifier, but not as the first character. An identifier cannot be a Python keyword. Special characters, except for the underscore, are not allowed in identifiers. On the screen, you can see examples of both valid and invalid identifiers. Next, we have literals, which are often referred to as constant values. These are data items with fixed values, and Python supports several types of literals: string literals, numerical literals, boolean literals, the special literal none, and literal collection. String literals are sequence of characters enclosed in quotes, whether single, double, or triple quotes. Python allows two types of strings: single line and multi-line strings. Single line strings are enclosed in single or double quotes and must terminate within one line. Multi-line strings are useful when you need to store text across multiple lines. You can achieve this by either placing a backslash at the end of a single line string or using triple quotes to enclose the text. Let's quickly see how Python determines the size of a string. The size of ABC is determined as 3 since each character counts individually. The size of /AB is 2 because /A is an escape sequence treated as one character. The size of Neha's pen is 10 as the backslash and apostrophe together count as one character. Python will determine the size of Neha's as 5 since the apostrophe is treated as part of this string, not an escape sequence. For multi-line strings, the size of string 1 will be 5. Their enter keys are counted as end-of-line strings. The size of string 2 will be 3 as backslashes are not counted. This shows how string length varies based on the type of characters and formatting used in Python. Next, we have numerical literals, which include integers, floats, and complex numbers. Integer literals are whole numbers without any fractional part. Examples include decimal integers, octal integers, and hexadecimal integers. I have already covered these types in my video on number system. Check out the link in the description below for more details. Floating point literals, also known as real literals, they can be written in two forms: fractional form and exponent form. Fractional form includes at least one digit and a decimal point, and exponent form includes a mantissa and an exponent. Keep in mind that numerical values with commas such as 1,000 are not considered integers or floats in Python. Instead, Python interprets them as tuples. I will cover this topic in more detail in an upcoming video. Complex numbers are numbers in the form a plus bi, where a is the real part, b is the imaginary part, and I is the imaginary unit, where I squared is equals to -1. For example, 3 plus 4i is a complex number. After this, we have Boolean literals, which are used to represent one of the two Boolean values, true or false. These literals are essential in decision making and conditional expressions. Next is the special literal. Python has one special literal called none, which is used to indicate the absence of value. It is also commonly used to signify the end of list or uninitialized variables. Lastly, Python supports literal collection such as tuples and lists, which allows you to group multiple values together. I will cover these topics in more detail in my upcoming videos. As we move forward, let's explore the basics of Python program. On the screen, we have an example program that does two things. It prints hello world and calculates the sum of two values a and b, then prints the result. First, we have comments. These are lines that begin with hash and are used to add readable information to the code, helping to clarify what it does. Python ignores these comments during the execution. In the example, you will see 4 comment lines, 3 single line comments starting with hash and 1 multi-line comment enclosed in triple quotes. Next, let's look at functions. In the example, a function is defined using the def keyword, followed by the function name hello. A function is essentially a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. The line of code that follow the function definition are indented, indicating that they belong to the function code block. Then we have expressions. An expression represents something that Python evaluates to produce a value. In our example, expressions include 5, a plus 10 and a plus b. Finally, there are statements. A statement is an action that Python performs. While executing a statement, Python may or may not produce a value. For instance, a is equals to 5, b is equals to a plus 10 and print a plus b are statements in this program. By understanding these elements, you will have a solid foundation for working with Python programs. In our Python program example, we saw the creation of variable like a is equals to 5. Let's delve deeper into how variables work. Variables are essentially named labels that can hold values, which can be used and processed throughout the execution of a program. A variable in Python isn't created until it is assigned a value. For instance, you can create a string variable by assigning a string value to a variable name, like student is equals to Neha. Similarly, to create a numerical variable, you assign a numeric value, such as marks is equals to 95. Python then internally creates labels that refer to these values. It's important to note that you cannot assign a value to a variable in the reverse order, such as Neha is equals to student or 95 is equals to marks. Doing so will result in an error because Python expects the variable name on the left side of the assignment operator and the value on the right. This brings us to an important concept, the distinction between R values and L values. In Python, literals or expressions that evaluate to a value are known as R values and appear on the right-hand side of an assignment. Variable names which hold these values are called L values and appear on the left-hand side. Let's look at some examples to further understand variable creation. If you want to assign the same value to multiple variables, you can do so with a single statement like a is equals to b equals to c equals to 10. This will set a, b, c all to 10. For assigning multiple values to multiple variables, you can use syntax a, b, c equals to 10, 20 and 30. This will assign 10 to a, 20 to b and 30 to c. Here is more interesting example to illustrate this concept. Suppose we have 3 statements a, b, c equals to 5, 10 and 7. Assigns 5 to a, 10 to b and 7 to c. In the next line, a, b, c equals to a plus 1, b plus 2 and c minus 1. Python first evaluates the right hand side. A plus 1 becomes 6, b plus 2 becomes 12, and c minus 1 becomes 6. These evaluated values are then assigned to a, b, and c respectively. So a becomes 6, b becomes 12, and c becomes 6. Finally, print a, b, c will output 6, 12, and 6. Isn't this easy and fun? I hope you are enjoying the tutorial. Moving on, Python handles variables with a feature called dynamic typing. This means that a variable can change its type during runtime without causing an error. For example, if you initially assign a numeric value to a variable such as x equals to 10 and later reassign it a string value with x equals to hello, Python will not produce an error. This flexibility is one of the features of dynamic typing in Python. Now let's explore how to input values from the user in Python. To interactively receive input, you can use the built-in input function. The syntax for this function is variable name equals to input prompt message. For example, if you want to ask the user for their name, you would write name equals to input what is your name. Similarly, to ask for the user's age, you would write age equals to input what is your age. When you run these statements, the prompt message will appear on the screen. The user can then type their responses, which will be assigned to the corresponding variable such as name. It's important to note that the input function always returns a value such as string. So if you collect an age using input, it will be a string similar to writing age equals to 10. If you need to use this value as a number, you must convert it to an integer using the int function. For example, age int input what is your age. Now age will store a numerical value. Similarly to output values, you use print function. This function has several features. It automatically converts item to string. So if you print a number, it will be converted to its string representation. It inserts spaces between items by default because the separator argument defaults to a space. For instance, print hi my name is Neha will output as hi my name is Neha. You can also customize the separator by changing the separator argument. For example, using dot separator. Print hi my name is Neha, sep equals to dot. This will output as hi my name is Neha with dots in between. Another argument associated with print function is end, which by default is set to /n, meaning a new line. For example, if you use two print statements, print my name is Neha, print I am a Python tutor. These will appear on two separate lines. If you change the end argument to a different character like $, it will modify the output. Print my name is Neha, and is equals to $, print I am a Python tutor. This will output my name is Neha, I am a Python tutor. With that, we have covered the basic fundamentals of Python. Now it's time for you to put these concepts into practice by creating a simple Python program. Feel free to pause the video and write your own program. Here is how you can get started. First, use input function to get two numbers from the user. Num1 equals to int input enter number 1, num2 is equals to int input enter number 2. Next, write statements to perform the calculations. Finally, print the result. The output of this program will display the result of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Feel free to try it yourself with different input values to see how it works. And that concludes this video. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel.